What the fuck is up? Hello, people of the internet. I hope you're doing well today. I'm doing okay. Today we're going to talk about something super important to me, and that's going to be the war in Afghanistan. But before we do that, I just want to say that I can definitely drive a tank, mofos. What's up? What's up? I mean, I'm okay. I'm not the best. But I basically outfitted my tank with everything needed to destroy other tanks. I mean, I did not lose a 1v1 for 2 games, which is what this gameplay was taken out of. I hope you enjoy the gameplay as I rant on. If you guys like tank footage, then let me know and I'll keep posting up more vehicular combat. If not, then I'll use more gunplay. But with that said, let's just kick it right off with this crazy documentary called This Is What Winning Looks Like. Now, the war in Afghanistan, I think, is super important because I don't feel like it's covered enough in the news. It's not. I mean, you see people talking about Rihanna and Kim Kardashian, but not nearly the same amount of emphasis is given to the wars that we're in and what's going on over there. I feel like there's just not that much. I mean, there's tons of information if you go looking for it, but in terms of headlines today, it just doesn't get that many views. So, Vice did a documentary on the war in Afghanistan, and it's probably the most important piece of footage that I think anyone could watch in the war in Afghanistan besides actually just reading books about it and reading up on it. So, for those of you who don't know, because there are tons of people who don't know why we're in Afghanistan, it was initially to just help the police officers, help the government, allow them to train so they can kick out the Taliban. That was the purpose, to help the people out, which is really crazy in and of itself, because Afghanistan is essentially a fucking wasteland with one capital city, and then that's it. It's still ruled the same way that it was in the Roman times with warlords and shit. So it's a crazy idea to entertain either way if you're going to go nation building. Anyway, let's really get into it. I found when I started watching this that I was completely perplexed as to why this wasn't put up in the news. You had this reporter who was going around and following the most badass motherfuckers you will ever see, the Marines. Maybe the Navy SEALs are a little bit crazier than that, but the Marines are still, I mean, you know, you can't, those guys are legit. And these Marines are completely honest, they're completely open. For those of you who may not like Vice, I know they've gotten some criticism from Fox and CNN and MSNBC. Just be aware of the fact that this footage is from the Marines talking to other people. Don't shoot the messenger just because the message is so powerful. So, the Marines have to deal with police officers who are fucked up on heroin, who decide to rape little boys. And it's so, oh my, I can't even describe how messed up it is. You know, I typically like to joke around and shit, but when it comes to this stuff, if you decide to rape a little child, then you should be put down in the backyard and fucking shot. There's no hope for you. Your rights are gone, in my opinion. And the Marines are sitting there talking to these people like they're equals, trying to reason with them. Their job is to try and get them to stop raping little kids. And you may be wondering why they do that. You know, why the fuck would they do that? What's the purpose of that? Well, in Afghanistan, to my knowledge, just from this video alone, you know, the women are so covered up, they don't show any skin. The sexuality is incredibly repressed in this country. And when you have a situation where people are sexually repressed and you get that really wild behavior, I mean, you've seen it before in the Catholic Church where the priests tend to molest little kids. That's partly because the sexuality is so repressed. And I think repression is a really dangerous idea, and I think, in general, you really gotta let people be open. But you heard the chief of police. He's sitting there talking with a Marine. And he says, oh, you know, what, they should be fucking grandma's pussies? No, they shouldn't be doing that, you know, and, you know, all the women are covered up, and, you know, they're not here during the day, so we have to, you know, the only people that we have are little boys. He's trying to reason it. He's trying to make it seem like it's okay to do that. And I was blown away. It was nuts. It's completely fucking nuts. It's complete chaos over there. You have essentially what we would consider scumbags of our society. They're fucked up on heroin and they're pedophiles. And the Marines are talking to them like they're on some moral equal ground. And on top of that, the people are the ones that are caught in the middle of this. You might be wondering, okay, well, where are the parents in this situation? You know, they need to pull themselves up and they need to stand up to the police. What do you mean stand up to the police? They don't have any options here. They have minefields in their crops so they can't actually harvest anything. It's the police's job, supposedly, to clean up those minefields. And the police don't do it. They actually go to the villagers and they say, sorry, we can't do that. That's not our job. We're too busy fighting the Taliban. We can't take the mines out of your crops because just we don't have enough people, or blah, blah, blah. Insert excuse here. So the people say, okay, well, fuck this. The police are raping our kids, and they won't help us, get the food that we need. They're telling us that we need to buy a gun and fend for ourselves. We're just going to go join the Taliban. We're going to go join this brotherhood of people. And I'm not an advocate for the Taliban at all. But what I am is understanding of the fact that it's not even a question of picking the lesser of two evils. It's a question of how can I survive? And you see these people who don't have a choice. It's either you propagate extremism by joining this religious craziness that is the Taliban and dedicate your life to extremism, which is fucked up as it is, or you let police officers rape your kids. What would you pick? That's your only choice, and you can't harvest any food because chances are you'll blow up from a minefield, but you have to in order to survive. That's the situation that these people are faced in. And the Marines can't do anything about it. It's complete chaos. And from my understanding after watching that video, the way that we've been going about handling the war in Afghanistan is wrong. And it's hard for me to keep my political views outside of this commentary. And I don't want you guys to think that I'm a Republican or a Democrat or anything like that, because I have very strong right tendencies and I have very strong left tendencies. I'm a Democrat and a Republican. I try to be as objective as possible when I look at views. I don't swing off to one party, which is why it's hard for me to vote on a president that says, oh, I'm strictly Democrat or I'm strictly Republican, and there's a lot of stuff that I don't agree with. Anyway, probably one of the most fucked up aspects of this war, because I've been painting this whole situation as in America's the good guys, we're coming in, we're trying to fix everything, and Afghanistan's this wasteland of chaotic corruption. The truth is that the blame can go both ways, from what I've seen. You have the Marines who are doing their part. They're doing the best they can. I think the Marines, I have the most respect for soldiers. It takes, despite what my opinions on war, it takes some serious balls to go and do what you do. For any of you guys who have been in the military, I have friends who have been in the military. I have utmost respect for them. But the general or the commander comes in for his checkup. He's like, okay, I'm here from Washington. I can't watch football here anymore, but give me the status update. And it's probably not how they sound at all, but he asks for a status update. And the head Marine there, I don't know what the fuck he was doing, but he told the general or the commander, he says, yeah, everything's fine. Everything's going great. Taliban, they're getting pushed out. We're doing a great job here. And, then they watch an inspirational video together. And then the commander says, okay, cool, thanks. And as he's walking away, the reporter, who, by the way, it takes an immense amount of courage for a reporter to even do a news story on this subject, he goes up to the general and he says, look, this isn't what's going on. What they just told you is a lie. Come talk to these Marines who are being truthful, who are being honest, and see their side of the story. And the general dismisses him and walks off. So, one of two things is very apparent. Either that general is completely incompetent and he's aware of what's going on, but what just happened was just a, bullshit whatever, and the guy just showed up just to show up and he's aware of the situation, or he's a dumbass. He's either aware of the situation or he's a dumbass. Those are the only two possibilities. So, all the way up the chain of command, it seems like these people, our country, as well as the people of Afghanistan, it's not working. Our country seems to be unaware of the fact that we're trying to nation build and fit a square peg into a round hole, and that doesn't work. You can't go into a country which is complex as fuck. You have networks of people with various ideologies, all of whom believe in one, crazy set of rules, and the other people believe in this other crazy set of rules, and we're trying to build this nation for them, and it's just so fucked up. We're going in with this cookie-cutter strategy, acting like we can just start building shit. How can you put a generator in the desert and expect people to understand how to use it? I'm 21, and I don't understand how to use a fucking generator. And I'm in college. So how do you expect a guy that probably didn't get above a first-grade education, who can't read or write, who's probably on heroin, How do you expect him to be able to understand how to use a generator? It's nonsense. It's complete nonsense. And I truthfully think, all of what I've just set aside, I think it's a bunch of bullshit. I don't think that our resources are being spent wisely. I think that we could be doing a much better job rebuilding our own country. Now, I know that the story is that our troops are coming out of Afghanistan in 2014, but I don't know, man. Iraq, we seem to be permanently tied into them now. Chances are we'll probably be permanently tied to this country. I'm too ignorant on the subject to understand, but what I do understand is what I saw. What I saw were Marines that were doing their best to try and get child molesting, heroin using fucking fuckfaces to, you know, be stand-up human beings, and it's not possible. And on top of that, by the way, Afghanistan is a country where 90% of the world's heroin comes from. For those of you who don't know, the opium trade is it's booming in Afghanistan. It's booming. And the Marines are actually guarding the poppy fields, if that's not fucked up enough for you. And for those of you who say, okay, well, we need to get rid of the opium trade, that's what the Taliban thinks as well. The Taliban is actually against opium, but they're so fucking crazy, that's like their only redeeming quality. And even then, if you took away the opium trade, Afghanistan would probably just crumble even farther down the rabbit hole. I mean, it seems like it's its major crop. You can't take away opium from Afghanistan. They're tied intrinsically together. Ugh, sorry, I got the sniffles. Anyway, probably the last and most important piece of this, for those of you who may still be holding out the hope that I'm probably full of shit, they set up a council where they united like the 200 tribes of villages, whatever the fuck. And you know, the leaders of each tribe would come, I think it was like once a month or a set time of year. They would all come and they would meet, and they would discuss the various problems that are going on, such as the rape, such as the pedophilia, such as the minefields that are all scattered throughout the farmlands. All of that stuff is a fucking problem. And the general does not listen to them. The same general that I've been talking about before, does not listen to them. I don't even think he tries to get their opinion. So something fishy's going on. Now, if you're looking for more information on the subject, I don't know if it's out there, unless you want to start getting into crazy conspiracy theories, and conspiracy theories are they're just theories. They're not based in actuality. So, you got to be careful about where you find your information, especially when it comes to the war, because from a news reporter's standpoint, it's kind of like don't bite the hand that feeds you. If you go into the war in Afghanistan and you write this brilliant piece, even if it completely slanders and just fucks the military in the ass and says, you know, this war is completely unjust, blah, 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 well, guess what? The military then revokes your access, and you cannot report on the war anymore because they won't let you into the war zone. They won't let you in with the Marines. So this reporter who does this whole documentary, I'm pretty sure he's banned from going to any more war zones. Which, I gotta say, he knew that going in. This isn't like, oh, I didn't know. And the Marines, from my understanding, I'm not entirely... It's been a while since I watched this documentary, but from my understanding, they were really appreciative of the fact that he did that, because no one else had even put out a news story that powerful, and no one had really written about the truth that was going on, because the military will just revoke all access. So you're taking a gamble. I mean, you could potentially put out a great piece on the war, but then you're up against the whole military-industrial complex, and you're up against a machine that will make sure that they slander the shit out of you, and that, you know, you don't have a say anymore. Anyway, guys, it's been real. If you like this, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff if you want. If not, it's all good. Peace.